They took your job. Maybe they gave you a handshake and a scripted farewell. Maybe they said it wasn't personal, it was organizational. Maybe they sent it in an email. Or maybe they didn't even bother to look you in the eye. However it happened, it left a hole. A quiet God-level vacuum. That only comes when something you depended on disappears overnight. One day you had a title, a team, a role, a rhythm. The next you're staring at your calendar wide open. Blank, no meetings, no purpose, no paycheck. And it hits hard. Not just because of the money, not just because of the routine, but because somewhere along the way, you gave your power to that job. Not just your time, your power. Your voice, your identity, your confidence. You started believing that the job made you someone, that the title gave you authority, that the system gave you structure, and without it you're drifting. And now that it's gone, you don't just feel unemployed. You feel unworthy, like something was taken from you. That can't be replaced, but that's the lie. That's the trap, that's the game they play. And most people never wake up from it, because they don't just strip you of your role. They take your belief in yourself with it, and you let them, not because you're weak, but because you were trained to tie your value to your output, your worth to your performance, your importance to how useful you are in someone else's system. So when they unplug you, it feels like they unplugged your identity too. But let me tell you something, they never will. They can take your job, but they can't take your power. Not unless you hand it over. And right now, in this exact moment, you have a choice. You can keep reliving the moment they let you go. Keep telling yourself you were discarded, rejected, underestimated. Or you can say, you know what? That job never defined me. That title wasn't who I was. That system didn't own me. And now that it's gone, I'm finally free to remember who I really am. Because here's the truth they don't want you to realize. The system needs you more than you need the system. Companies run on people like you. People who care, people who show up. People who solve problems, calm chaos, build relationships, hold things together. That's not something a layoff can erase. That's not something any work chart can replace. That's you, and if you don't reclaim your power now, you'll spend the next 6 months trying to get back into something that treated you like a number. You'll shrink your dreams down to fit a job description. You'll start every interview with an apology in your voice, hoping someone gives you a chance, instead of claiming what you bring to the table, that not you, not anymore. You're going to do what most people are too scared to. You're going to stop begging and start building. Building your energy back, building your confidence back, building your narrative, your direction, your future. You're going to stop using LinkedIn headlines and job titles to validate your existence. You're going to stand on your experience, your integrity, your perspective. You're going to show up in every room, every call, every opportunity, not with desperation, but with discipline. You're going to remind yourself every single morning that they don't get to define you. They don't get to dictate your pace, your worth, your next chapter. You do, that's power. And power doesn't show up when the world gives you permission. Power shows up when you choose yourself, especially when no one else is choosing you. It shows up when you say, this isn't the end. This is the beginning of my ownership. That means ownership over your story, over your skills, over your future. That means looking in the mirror and saying, they took the role, but they didn't take the real asset. Me, that means moving forward. Not just to find another paycheck, but to find your voice, to find work that doesn't strip you down, but builds you up. To stop being a product in someone else's system and start being the producer of your own life. That's what people with power do. They don't panic when things fall apart. They pivot, they don't drown in silence. They study it, they ask, what did this teach me? Where did I give too much? What am I never tolerating again? What part of me was asleep and just woke up? And once they get those answers, they move intentionally, boldly. Not with fear, but with fire. They write the post, make the call. Record the idea, offer the value. Build the thing even if no one's watching. Even if they're scared, because they know real power doesn't wait for applause. It creates impact, and impact doesn't need permission. You don't need to be in a position to lead. You lead by owning your energy. You lead by holding your standard. You lead by refusing to shrink. That's the version of you that's being born right now. And yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to stretch you. It's going to pull you into rooms and risks and reinventions that your old self would have avoided. But that's the point. Growth feels like discomfort before. It feels like direction. You're not going backwards. You're evolving, and evolution requires disruption. That's what this layoff was. A disruption not just of your paycheck, but of your pattern. And if you're brave enough to see it that way, you won't spend this season rebuilding what was lost. You'll build what was missing: power, ownership, alignment. And that version of you, the one who doesn't need a title to feel important, the one who doesn't wait to be chosen, the one who wakes up and creates instead of waits, that's the most dangerous person in the world, because once you reclaim your power, nobody can ever take it from you again. They took your job, maybe they caught you off guard. Maybe you saw it coming. Maybe you were already mentally halfway out the door. But however it ended, here's what matters now. They do not get to write your next chapter, because this story, this life, this comeback, it belongs to you. And the greatest tragedy would not be losing the job. It would be giving away the power that comes from surviving it. Because yes, you survived it. You are still here, still breathing, still standing, still full of untapped insight, energy, experience, and potential that no layoffs can erase. But the truth is, power doesn't just return automatically. You have to take it back, reclaim it day by day. In how you speak to yourself, in how you walk into the room, in how you choose what's next, not based on fear, but based on freedom. Because when they took the job, they also took your routine, your rhythm, your role, and that disruption creates a vacuum, one you'll be tempted to fill with anything familiar, any title, any company, any paycheck, but don't. Not yet. Sit with the silence. Not because it's easy, because it's sacred. This space is where you get honest. This space is where you ask yourself what you were trading your life for. This space is where you stop chasing certainty and start choosing alignment. Because that job, it may have paid you, but it also cost you something. Your time, your peace, maybe even your health or your creativity. And now that it's over, your default reaction will be to rebuild what you had. But don't rebuild, redesign. Redesign what your day looks like. Redesign how you want to earn. Redesign what kind of leadership you'll accept. What kind of culture you'll be part of. What kind of mission you'll align with. Because when you own your power, you don't just accept whatever comes. You filter, you select. You create, you move with standards. And yes, that may mean you don't say yes to the first offer. That may mean you turn down a job that feels just like the one you lost. That may mean you face judgment, confusion, or fear. But that's the cost of protecting your energy. And winners protect their energy like it's profit. Because it is. So if you're sitting here jobless, questioning your next step, feeling the weight of other people's success on your back, wondering if you're too late, too old, too far behind, breathe, you're not behind. You're awake in a way most people never get. You've seen behind the curtain. You felt what happens when the system lets you down. And now you don't build your life on it anymore. You build beyond it with intention, with honesty, with full ownership. And the version of you that comes from that place, they're unshakable, they know what they want. They don't wait for recruiters to rescue them. They pitch themselves, they don't compete for space. They command attention through clarity. They don't hide their gap. They leverage it, because the person who walked through the fire and came out clearer come a builder. That person doesn't need a title to feel powerful. They've earned their authority by losing everything they thought they needed and realizing they never needed it at all. What they needed was already inside, but they had to be forced to slow down long enough to remember it. That's what happened here. That's the gift, and no, it didn't come wrapped in kindness. It came wrapped in crisis. But crisis is just clarity in disguise. It strips away the fluff, it leaves only what matters. And if you let it shape you instead of shame you, you will walk out of this chapter not just with another job, but with your power back, power to say no, power to wait, power to pivot, Power to start something new. Power to speak up, power to walk away. Power to show your kids your friends. Your future self that when life took something from you, you didn't collapse, you rose. Or because it was easy, but because you knew they took your job. But you refused to let them take you. And from this moment on, no one ever will again.